Introducing Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Icon of the Seas, the ultimate family vacation. The ultimate 6 slides, 8 neighborhoods, 0 compromise vacation. The ultimate never done that, can't wait to do it vacation. The ultimate chillin' by a different pool every day of the week vacation. This is the Icon of Vacations. Icon of the Seas, arriving in 2024. Book today. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
Oregon hockey fans, are you ready to brave the wild? With me, your host, Paladino Joey. Brave the Wild is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, PodMN, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Audible, Stitcher, Double Twist, all those wonderful podcasting applications you can get on Android, Google, or even whatever. Who knows? Great to be back on board with you once again today. Thank you always and forever for downloading and listening to the show. The Minnesota Wild played 3 games last week, and guess what? 3-0, ladies and gentlemen. Feels good. Back on track, or at least so it appears. Wild look damn good. 8-2 demolition, 5-1 demolition, and 4-3 comeback win. Extra attacker. I mean, just go out there and kick some butt. It's like polar opposite of the old days. In so many ways, the recent old days, polar opposite in every way. A locker room that works together. You actually win in overtime. You actually score with the extra attacker instead of giving up an empty net goal. It's like insane. It's beautiful. It's awesome. 3 games to review, 3 games to preview, and of course the show is going to continue to evolve more and more in fan interaction and such. But the preview stuff will never completely go away, that's for sure, because why would it? That would be kind of weird. And I just thank every one of you that listens to the show and has been telling your friends and sharing it. I just can't thank you enough. 21st of January, Chicago Blackhawks in Chicago, United Center, and then you go back home to Xcel Energy Center, quick flight home, and then host the Montreal Canadiens on Monday the 24th, 3 days off. Then you have the New York two-step, New York Rangers on Friday, New York Islanders on Sunday, which historically was a loss going to New York on Sunday. New York Islanders, almost always a loss. We'll see what happens. They're starting to play a little better. It's 3 games now, three games each in these weeks, last week and this upcoming week. But then the schedule changes. Then it's like game off, game off, game off, game off, game off, game off. Game off, game off, game off. Do you get the idea? It's like 4 games a week, and it's fun. It's fun to review, fun to preview, and extremely fun to watch, and it's nice to have consistency with games again instead of nobody's on tonight. Come on. It gets tiring when there's nobody on, but, doing a show, you're going to have to be, it's just going to be busy stuff, but at the same time, for the sake of time and for your entertainment, the show will continue to evolve, so to speak, with less and less of my babbling and more of hearing from you and just important topics within the team, rather than just staring at stats and such, which is occasionally what some of us do in the podcasting world. Let's get to it, though. I'm already babbling. 5-1 victory over Chicago. All is right with the Wild. Could never say all's right with the world. You never really can until until the Lord comes back. Then things are a little better. Kaapo looks absolutely fantastic in the net. Wow, absolutely great. Faced 36 shots. Blackhawks were really attacking early and often, but Kakkonen was just getting the job done. You kind of felt that from the Blackhawks through both of these games, especially the second one. But an absolutely stellar performance by Kaapo Kakkonen. In that, Ryan Hartman almost had a hat trick. He had multiple opportunities with a couple of goals. He just continues to be absolutely wonderful. The whole Dave Gagne comparison, like I brought up last week, thanks to Judd Zolgad, he just keeps getting better and better out there. Yeah, he's like the Dave Gagne for this Wild team compared to the Dave Gagne with the North Stars in the late 80s, early 90s, the greatest video game era of all time, and in a lot of things. That was a great era for a lot of things. But late 80s, early 90s, Dave Gagne coming to the North Stars, looking like a failed first-round pick with the New York Rangers, comes to Minnesota and, well, has a hell of a career. Obviously, ends up playing on other teams as well, but still, for a while there with the North Stars and Stanley Cup run and all that. Hartman, hopefully we go on a Cup run, but actually win it this time. And this team, I think, has the pieces to possibly do that. It's no guarantee, but you certainly have the locker room togetherness. And, Dean Evison continues to bring it up every show. And it's like, part of it's like, yeah, we finally got rid of those guys, those locker room lawyers. You know who they are. And it isn't just two guys. It's probably about 3 or 4 or 5 of them. They're finally all gone. I mean, it's over. Thank you, Lord, in a lot of ways. But multiple goals for Ryan Hartman. He's on pace for like 39. He's still there. He's still hanging around. Late January, it's looking less and less like a fluke and more like he's improved. He's looking like a first-round pick now. Legitimate. Zuccarello, at age 34, is having a career season because the group around him is just absolutely fantastic. Hartman, Kaprizov, it is a mix like you wouldn't believe. Absolutely beautiful. Foligno just continues to have a career type of season. He has just been unbelievable. My goodness, what is he on pace for? About 70 points. Jiminy Christmas. Even Brandon Duhaime joined the party. He'd been relatively quiet, but obviously Brandon Duhaime's role is what it is. He's a bottom 6 player, a very good bottom 6 player who's going to keep getting better. He's still very young. He's not super young, but he's still young. That type of thing. But an overall absolutely fun night, especially if you're sick and tired of watching the Blackhawks stomp all over us. But again, the Wild did play well against the Blackhawks in the playoffs, or regular season, a lot of those seasons, only to fold in the playoffs, which was annoying. Marc-Andre Fleury, you could just see the frustration, cracking his stick on the net over and over and over again. Like, not cracking it, but smashing it. Well, making a cracking sound, I'm sure. Extremely frustrated. Marc-Andre Fleury is a very emotional guy. I've seen him break sticks many times. I remember giving up an overtime goal when he was with the Penguins still in the postseason. Finally got to be back in the net again instead of, was it Murray, when they went for their first Stanley Cup run of the back-to-back. And it's like because Murray was taking over basically at that stage. And then Fleury, extremely frustrated. You can only imagine. As good as he was, losing his job to a young guy, it can't be fun. But, well, it is what it is. I'm going all over the place here. Lankinen was good in relief, but, well, the damage has been done. Taylor Addison scoring and getting an assist and playing on the power play. And then getting sent down. That a lot of people are not a huge fan about that in favor of Jordy Ben. Like, you get it and everything. Jordy Ben's earned the right to play, but at the same time, I don't know. I think Kalen Addison should probably continue to play in the NHL, but it is what it is. Obviously, you want him to keep developing this and that. It's an ongoing debate. I don't think it's like a terrible mistake. It's not going to ruin his career, but at the same time, eventually, sooner or later, Kalen Addison has got to be a regular in the NHL, sooner or later. And it's no offense to Jordy Ben. I mean, one way or another, if he's the 6th defenseman or the 7th defenseman, seems like the kind of guy who's going to always be there and be a team player. And obviously, he's a solid guy. Well, he's going to play now. He's going to play now because John Merrill, after the Montreal game, the last team he played for, is now with COVID-19, unfortunately. So that figures. That sucks. But, yeah, Jordy Ben, Kalen Addison. So, I guess welcome back, that type of thing. It's just kind of funny how that turns out. An overall fun night, though. Let's move on quickly. 5-1 victory. Kalen Addison's second goal of the season. Nice release on that wrister there. 4-3 victory over the Blackhawks the next night. And it looked like the Blackhawks were going to get this one, for sure. They went up 2-0. And, yes, it's the most dangerous league lead in hockey. But, I mean, it felt. I mean, Chicago was dominating the Wild in that first period, particularly the first half of it. It was like, how many shots on goal? Like 12-5, 15-7, stuff like that. It was pretty dominant in favor of Chicago. But you knew the tides would turn at some point. And Minnesota actually wound up getting 44 shots on Kevin Lankinen, who was actually pretty respectable in the game, despite the fact he gave up 4 goals. Very respectable considering. It's just sad to see Jonathan Toews dropping off as he has been. One other thing I should mention that I didn't mention is in the last game. See, like the comparisons keep going with Patrick Kane and Kirill Kaprizov as I slow down a little bit. The incredible passing skills to go along with the goal-scoring ability. Patrick Kane, just a release on his pass on DeBrincat's goal was absolutely a thing to see. He was the only guy to score for Chicago in that previous game, but then next time around, DeBrincat would score again, and the Blackhawks ultimately, again, taking a 2-0 lead, but everything started to change. Joel Eriksson would score in his returning to the Minnesota Wild, his second game back with the Wild, pardon me. But 12th goal of the season with Zuccarello and all that. Kaprizov now 17 goals on the season, catching all the way up to Ryan Hartman. It's been a long journey catching up with Ryan Hartman, and he's still behind because Hartman had the 2-goal game before in his home city of Chicago. At least that's where he grew up, in that area, Chicago area, greater Chicago area. Foligno and Kaprizov have been chasing Hartman. Foligno with 17 goals in the season, being a huge one against Chicago. Yeah, both games. Hartman with 18 so far in the season. Kaprizov with 17, but 32 assists. Absolutely unbelievable with those passing skills. Playmaking ability. I mean, it's unbelievable how many more assists he could have had during the course of the season, as some scoring chances were oh so close. But welcome to the game of hockey with good goaltending, lucky bounces and all that kind of stuff. Lucky bounces, Kevin Fiala, and Jiminy Christmas, Kevin Fiala and Matt Zuccarello, unbelievable. They've been on a 9-game point streak. Absolutely incredible. Another thing, too, as we try to dig into the notes and such, Kirill Kaprizov is now on pace for 106 points. 106 points, literally. He actually literally skated circles around Montreal, and he kind of did a bit of the same with Chicago. The Wild absolutely have their best player in franchise history. And last year, it's like, yep, let's be careful a little bit. It's like probably, most likely, because he brings more to the game than Marian Gaborik ever did. But let's just be careful. Obviously, let's see it to believe it, that kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, it's surreal. He's got way more points than games played at this point. He's way ahead of the point of game pace now with a 106 point projection for him. And well, the games are coming. We've been talking about the low amount of games played because of COVID this, COVID that, and mostly because of other teams' issues, not ours. And of course, Canada with their huge shutdowns and such. They're going to all get crammed in real good the rest of the way here. February, March, April, all the way up to the end of April. It's going to be game off, game off, game off, basically. It's going to be pretty intense. But no, 106 point pace for him. Like I said earlier, the Wild have scored 13 times this season with the extra skater, and it would be the case again against the Chicago Blackhawks. Another clutch, exciting goal. Fiala and Matt Zuccarello, like I said, 9-game point streak, and Fiala with 7 goals in 9 games. He's catching up. Fiala's coming around. He is coming. He scored his 10th goal in the game, and that was the big clutch one with the extra man on the ice there to make it 3-3, and you saw everybody flying up in the air. It was so exciting. That was after Henrik Borgstrom, pardon me, the Borg, the cutest of Borg. Okay, sorry. Henrik Borgstrom would get his 4th goal of the year. Henrik Borgstrom with McKenzie and Twistle and Ryan Carpenter. All right then. All right, rolls right off your tongue. All right. Yeah. The Blackhawks took a 3-2 lead. And then you get more familiar names anyway, at least around here. Kevin Fiala, I would hope, is a familiar name in the NHL at this point with his 10th goal. Should be his 20th, but it's his 10th. Excuse me. Jordan Greenway factoring in on that one, obviously in a nice way. His passing skills are very much there. You just wish there was a little bit more with Greenway. That at least he stepped up a bit after being pretty quiet the past couple of weeks again. He's kind of up and down. He's playing well, now he's not playing well. He's playing well, he's not playing well. The guy who's been consistently there all season and been solid when healthy and not sick and all that stuff, Alex Goligoski, big part of that as well. Huge, very solid late in this game, getting a couple of quote-unquote hockey assists, second assists. Greenway also factoring on both of them on with the grease line, working together in the overtime, as they call it. They apparently, an unbelievable statistic of the grease line, the one I've been calling the bully geek line. It's apparently the grease line, yes, I know, I apologize. But I kind of like bully geek line, I guess. But grease line, since a lot of you are more familiar with that, the Foligno Greenway line with Eriksson, of course, have not given up a goal this season. That is insane. Like, where did that stat come from? Like, how is that possible? MoneyPuck.com. They have not given up a full-strength goal this season. Really? They have not. That is Wow. Well, it tells you something. And they actually score goals. Again, Foligno tied for second on the team with Kirill Kaprizov. You may have heard of Kirill Kaprizov. He's tied with him in goals. Eriksson Ek continues to be super solid, despite missing a significant amount of time with a cheap shot. But came back faster than a lot of us thought. That was like a 2 month injury, that kind of thing. 8 weeks, 10 weeks, that kind of thing. Ended up being not as long, basically, about a month. Absolutely great to have Mr. Eriksson Ek back in the mix. And Kirill Kaprizov missed, a game? A game? I mean, it doesn't get better than that. When it looked like a similar kind of play, similar type of situation, going, shoulder into the boards, thanks to a cheap shot by Frederic of Boston. That was really something else. But what a nice couple little games here. Nice, beautiful comeback with about 2 minutes remaining. Kevin Fiala with the clutch goal, 10th of the season. And then Foligno finishes it off in overtime. Felt so good with less than a minute remaining, getting that chance. And Jordan Greenway, what a nifty little pass. Just a quick little, perfectly timed release. And then Foligno with the with the beautiful celebration. My God, he's big. He could kill someone, and he's so good. Foligno, absolutely a stud. He scored a goal in every game in this case. 15, 16, 17. Montreal, the Wild weren't done. Even though it felt like it, because Montreal was definitely the better team for the first minute or two. And the guy who scores on Minnesota, no matter what team he's on, if it's Ottawa, St. Louis, or Montreal, I think even Florida, I think he was there for a minute, wasn't he? And he scored on us. Mike Hoffman, that same name as a technician at my job. Pretty cool guy, and he's from Canada, believe it or not. Just a little bit north of here, in Manitoba officially. I forgot the name of the city. It's it's one of those small towns in Manitoba, basically, kind of straight up there, straight north of here, because obviously, go a little east, it's Ontario. East up the shoreline, it's Lake Superior shoreline, it becomes Ontario. That's the only Canadian province I've ever been in, was Ontario. But Hoffman, Mike Hoffman, scores his 7th goal of the season. Rem Pitlick would score the other. Is anybody surprised? No, not really. But 8-2. And this kind of gives me old memories of an 8-0 loss in Montreal with the Minnesota North Stars. 8-0 loss to a pretty good Montreal Canadian team that went on to win the Stanley Cup 92-93 in our final season in Minnesota, the Minnesota North Stars. That team's final season, unfortunately, thanks to your great friend Norm Greed with you have to throw in the D instead of the N. Norm Greed took the team to Dallas, Texas to make a quick profit, sell them, and adios amigo. It's like, really, dude, really, it doesn't get much worse than that. Like, that's, He treated the team like a little commodity, a little commodity. I'm going to buy a little gold here. Little gold, up, it went up, okay, sell, buy. That's basically how he treated the North Stars. Thanks, Norm. Thanks, buddy. He literally bought the team for that purpose. How did I get into that? See, there I go again, babbling away. See what I mean? Connor DeWer would get his first goal of his career. It was a beautiful night. Multi-point game for Connor DeWer. His first goal and his first multi-point game. Shy as heck, because obviously you're just getting started. But he looks like the guy that we watched in Iowa. Obviously lesser role, because in Iowa he's like a top 6 guy. But of course he's going to be a top 6 guy in Iowa, because he's a pretty good player. But in the NHL he's a bottom 6 guy. He's not a prolific scorer. He's not what Matt Boldy was in Iowa, or what Marco Rossi still is at this point, developing a point-a-game player, like an 80-point type of guy in the AHL already. Type anyway. Spurgeon returns, getting his 4th goal of the season. Also, unfortunately, had an unfortunate hit there in the game, did Spurgeon. One that could be looked on as not good, unfortunately. But that's not, obviously he has no reputation whatsoever. That's not his cup of tea. He's delivering out cheap shots, so that was unfortunate to see that. Sturm with a 3-point game. Absolutely beautiful. He assisted, Connor DeWer assisted on Sturm's goal. And Sturm assisted on Connor DeWer's goal, obviously, because they worked together on that 4th line. It's players like that, young, solid players that aren't super young anymore. Nico Sturm's 26 already. Can you believe that? He's already 26. But young, solid players that are under 30 playing on that 4th line that just get the job done. I mean, they can score, they can defend, they can be, they're like good penalty killers or this and that. Just solid players. And it's so nice to have guys on all four lines that can just kind of do a little bit of everything, obviously. Yeah, you got the grittiness, the toughness, but the finishing ability as well is a part of things. Nico Sturm's 7th goal of the season, but they all work together. They set each other up. That team concept is a beautiful thing. Grease line, of course, factoring in on a goal. Foligno, Greenway, and Merrill. That was Foligno's 17th goal. There it was. They put the Wild up 2-1, where the game changed so quickly after a pretty yucky start. But then Spurgeon scores just 3 minutes into the game. That's what made you feel a hell of a lot better right away. It's like, wow, how cool was that? But the Wild end up just keep scoring and scoring and scoring. Matt Boldy would get his 3rd goal of the season and just continues to get better and better. He assisted on Fiala's 11th goal of the season to make it 8-2. Yes, it's quote-unquote garbage time at that point. But Fiala also factoring in on Jordy Benn's 1st goal with Minnesota. 1st goal of the season and 1st goal of Minnesota. Kevin Fiala, a 3-point game, a goal, 2 assists, just continues to get better and better, and he keeps climbing the chart, so to speak, up to be one of the leading scorers on the Wild now. Now he's at 29 points, him being Kevin Fiala, 4th on the team. He's climbed all the way up, just continues to get better and better, and I hope the Wild can keep him. I really do. And the conversation continues to be, you can't keep Dumba and Fiala. I understand that, very much so. You do have Kalen Addison, but also the conversation in that sense could be maybe Goligoski instead of Dumba on his way out, possibly. And that will definitely be a discussion, at least Goligoski anyway, in the fan interaction segment. That's definitely, in a lot of ways, Goligoski is like a main theme going into the fan interaction, thanks to Derek Felska. And, let's just say a close confidant has been talking to me about how he continued to, how the show will continue to evolve, this and that. And I continue to babble right now. Holy moly, I can't believe how long this first segment is already. But again, just a nice, fun night. Of course, Rem Pitlick scored, but just the whole vibe with Matt Boldy becoming, he's already, for me, a top 6 player in the league. Great chemistry with Fiala. It's not perfect, but clearly, both of them are making each other better and better. And it's so much fun. And Fiala, every player needs good players around them as well, or at least good chemistry with them. You don't have to be the best player on the team to have good chemistry with somebody, and then all of a sudden you start playing better because of the good chemistry. And then, funny, you go from a guy who, looks like, is scoring like at the level of a 4th-line player to suddenly a 2nd-line player, that type of thing. And that's sports for you. Obviously, chemistry is a big freaking thing. Big thing. Huge. Even in baseball in the infield and such, the right chemistry works better than maybe there's 1 or 2 guys. It's just you're not on the same page for some reason. It's weird. Another thing I need to say is Kaapo Kähkönen. There's no reason he shouldn't have a long NHL career. Absolutely. And like I was saying earlier, Duehr's already a legitimate bottom 6 player. He looks like a pro. He truly does. Sturm and Merrill, COVID protocol, unfortunately. Right after Sturm's 3-point game, COVID protocol going into the break, unfortunately. So, for now, I will name the player of the week, which is really kind of tough. I'm going to give it to Kevin Fiala. I thought he was wonderful. Obviously, it could easily go to Zuccarello. It could easily go to Kirill Kaprizov, but I want to go with Kevin Fiala. Obviously, it's nice to see him improve to the level he has. And like we said, 7 goals in the last 9 games. He's just been a huge factor. He's been wonderful from the Minnesota Wild, and I really want to keep him. It's nice to see what he's doing. The James Shepard Memorial, maybe Cam Talbot's groin, if that's what it is, as he tweaked it during the Montreal game, made the comeback, came back to the Wild, tweaked it during the game, more of a precautionary thing. But yeah, and it's sometimes you got to be precautionary with something like that. As Cam Talbot's groin is the James Shepard Memorial. Because even Greenway, big factor this week. Goudreau does what he does. My God, every forward scored in the game except Eck and Duhaime when it came to scored one way or another against Montreal, except for Duhaime and Eck. So those guys, no, I'm kidding. They were factors earlier in the week. Why would I do that? And I'm not mad at any of the defensemen. Hulagov's been a little quiet, but it's not like he's been killing us. Though some people may disagree on that. It's just can't tell about scoring. With that, we'll take a quick break. We'll very quickly look at the other games look at the prospects, and let's have some fun with fan interaction. And we are back here on Brave the Wild. Time for a New York two-step, if humanly possible. Minnesota Wild coming up on, well, that would be tomorrow. Yep, on Friday, the 28th of January. And there it is. How many years has it been? I believe it's 14 years of podcasting. My 14th birthday as a podcaster. 14 years as a podcaster. How many of you can say that? How many of you can say that with your fancy, glitzy little logo on your show and your fancy, and your 99,000 positive reviews and this and that? How many of you can say you've been around for 14 years? So I at least I have something going for me. I don't know what else, but I got something. New York Rangers. New York Rangers, they're okay. Actually, they are good. They are good. 28, 11, and 4. They are in first place in the Metropolitan Division, which is not easy to do. First place in the Metropolitan Division. Wow. Well, it helps when a guy named Igor, let's just say Igor is your goalie, 20 and 4 on the season. Wow, 2.7 goals, 2.07, not 2.7 goals against average. But not just that. 3 shutouts, but not just that. Almost 94% save percentage. Good God, man. Hello. Hello. That's incredible. Adam Fox, a defenseman, 46 points. 46 points, and not highly touted necessarily. 13, he's a plus 13 on the season. Adam Fox has more points than Panarin. Yeah, okay, Panarin's got 5 games in hand, since we like to mention that term 100 million times in the hockey world. Games in hand, games in hand, games in hand. 1 less point than Adam Fox. Wow, what a stud he's been. 39 points, 21 power play assists. Panarin has 3 power play goals, but Chris Kreider has made up for that with 15 power play goals. 30 overall goals for Chris Kreider. Wow, good season for him. Not getting a whole lot of assists. He's like, I don't even know who to compare him to. One of those guys that scores a lot. Yeah, one of those guys. Like, Alex Ovechkin, I suppose. Ovechkin, he'll get assists, but he'll get tons of goals. That's his big thing. Kaapo, another one that, super duper duper highly touted, but taking a little while. Alex Lafreniere, super duper 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 highly touted, but it's going to take a while, looks like. Some guys, they come rolling in, and they're good right away, the McDavids and all that, and there's been many others. Obviously, just McDavid. There's obviously way more than just him. Ryan Lindgren with 8 points on the season, former Minnesota Gopher. So there's always a little Minnesota tie going on with both New York teams. Ryan Lindgren, nice, solid defenseman with the Gophers. Carved out a little something with the Rangers, but nothing that spectacular yet. It's just not happening. Ryan Reeves, that's where he wound up as the Rangers. Lafreniere's got 2 more points than Ryan Reeves, and he's played 5 more games. Well, I better stop. People are going to be like, shut up, Joey. Come on. Ryan Reeves, you're not going to compare those 2 guys. No way. The Rangers are 4-1 in their last 5 games. They beat the Philadelphia Flyers 3-2, the Toronto Maple Leafs 6-3. Nice 6-3 loss at Carolina, 7-3 demolition versus Arizona, 3-2 victory over the Los Angeles Kings, a rematch of the 2014 Stanley Cup Finals. The finals the NHL was dying for, New York versus LA. It was an okay series, but you kind of knew the whole time it was going to win. So, they're 9th in the power play, 5th in the penalty kill, them being the Rangers anyway. 6th in goals, 6th in goals against, thanks to Igor. You'd think they'd be number 1. They've given up. Okay, yeah, but these stats are probably all over the place because the gameplay difference is all over. It's complicated. Yeah, but the Wild's still 5th in goals, which tells you something. This is, of course, just a 2-game series, January 28th and March 8th. Well, my brother's birthday and my podcasting career's birthday. That's ironic. So it's the birthday Rangers, I guess. I don't know. This is probably a loss. I hope not, but it probably is. It probably is. Cam Talbot will be in net most likely. I got a feeling though it's gonna be like 4-2, 4-3, 4-3 maybe. I think the Wild score against Igor. The most likely guy to score for Minnesota is gonna be Marcus Foligno. He's gonna be the most likely guy to score, with the Wild end up losing 4-3 to the New York Rangers. I just got a feeling it's gonna be one of those kind of games where New York will just be a little better. The Wild will give it everything they got. Maybe it goes to a shootout OT type of thing, but maybe the Rangers emerge victorious. This and that. Or maybe we score with the extra man and win the game, and it'll come back and win, or we end up losing 4-3 because of OT or shootout. But I do think the Rangers win the game, unfortunately. So now we play the Islanders, who have been playing significantly better after a horrendous start to the season. Horrendous. Sunday evening, as a couple of football teams will be celebrating their conference championships en route to the Super Bowl 56 already. I think it is 56, right? It's got to be. Yep. Hopefully it's Cincinnati and San Francisco. I don't like the Chiefs at all, and I just don't. And the Rams, I'm okay with them, kind of, but I guess they're the most likely team to beat the Chiefs remaining. Okay, wrong sport, wrong team. Zdeno Chara, sprained left knee. He's about 70, but he's still playing. Oh, God. The Wild did beat the New York Islanders earlier this season 5-2 when they were playing like garbage. Now they're 4-1 in their last 5. New York Islanders finally getting it back together. And you kind of figured with Barry Trotz they would. Man, they have not played a lot of games. 15, 14, and 6 on the season. They're above 500. They're above 500. Wow. So it is what it is. 6th place in the Met. 6th place in the Met, 32nd. They are the worst team in the league in goals for. They are the number 1 team in goals against. Okay, so that means the Wild will beat them 17-0, right? No. No. It reeks of a 2-1 loss, honestly. That's kind of how it is with the New York Islanders. It's like 2-1. It reeks of a 2-1 loss. I hope we don't get any kind of a losing streak here. But it just reeks of it. It just does. They also have the least amount of assists, them being the Islanders, about, my God, 110 less assists than the Minnesota Wild. How is that possible? It's got to be the amount of games they played. That's got to be part of it, right? That's got to be that. Come on. Let me tell you, what is this? It's not even showing the whole damn. That's nonsense. It's not even showing the standings properly. Because I want to backtrack. I want to look at something here. Because that's, how many games have they played this season? Okay, where are the frickin' Islanders already? There they are. Yeah, 35 games. They played the least other than Ottawa. That's part of it. The goals for, goals against. It's going to be out of whack. I kind of figured as much. My bad. So, yeah. Still though. I mean, I like the way the Wild played against the Islanders earlier this season. I really did. That was a great game. Islanders are playing better. And I didn't even look at it. Let's see like I said, 4-1. Wow, they're actually scoring goals now. In all 4 of their victories, they had 4 goals. Wow. And then they had a 3-1 loss to Toronto. So, to make things faster, they swept Philadelphia. Philadelphia's fallen off the face of the earth, by the way. Mike Yeo. And they brought in John Torchetti to be an assistant. That's funny. I like John Torchetti, though. But the Islanders, I want to pick a win, but I got a crappy feeling. It's going to be like 3-2 loss. Most likely guy to score in this game will be... most likely guy in this game is going to be Ryan Hartman. It's a Ryan Hartman type of game. Matt Barzal is leading the club in scoring with 26 points, only 8 goals. Brock Nelson is leading the team in goals with only 13 in 26 games. Anders Lee, 11 goals. What a weird team. It's weird, but hey, they might get it all together when it matters, I suppose. Goaltender, who was good last year too. Ilya Sorokin, 2.29 goals against average, 4 shutouts. 4. Varlamov has been kind of snake bit this year, not as good. But Sorokin, you could kind of see him emerging as the goalie of the future. 4 shutouts. But Varlamov, pretty much like a backup goalie, 2.65, and a save percentage of about 91, which isn't bad. He's a good backup, but it is what it is. Wild lose 3-2. I think we lose both New York games. I don't want to say that, but I don't know. Let's see it when we believe it, I suppose. Minnesota, then we'll wrap up the week and jump into the month of February as the sunlight continues to grow. Heading into Chicago, who am I to say the Wild will lose to the Chicago Blackhawks? And this one's on Tint as well. TNT, sorry. Lankinen with a hand injury apparently as of the 23rd. Riley Stillman, shoulder, left the game on the 21st of Jan. And Juhar Khaira, lower black for the Blackhawks. Khaira, huh? Interesting. Hat-trick for Patrick, still with only 9 goals on the season, at least as at this moment. He'll probably have more by the time we play. Blackhawks have been lousy, generally speaking. It's just not a good vibe. The Wild are probably going to sweep this team this year. And if we don't, that's actually disappointing. Wednesday, February the 2nd, we'll wrap up the week. Minnesota will win the game 4-2. Kirill Kaprizov will score in the game, or will it be Kevin Fiala? It's going to be one of the two. Let's go with Kirill Kaprizov, but the Wild win 4-2 in a fairly easy victory over the Blackhawks. Not that easy. They'll face the shots, but I think Kaapo Kähkönen will be in net, and he'll be very, very strong. I'm just getting a vibe, because we're going to want to play Kaapo Kähkönen more and more during the course of this run. It's going to have to be closer to a platoon, I believe. You want to ride a goalie during this stretch coming up, you are making a fatal mistake, because you'll have Kaapo Kähkönen all rusty and not playing well when he does go in, and you'll have Cam Talbot burnt out, and you'll lose in the first round of the playoffs to the Avalanche or the Golden Knights or whatever, or the Blues right now, I believe is who it would be. That would be really lame. All this wonderful, fun season, and you lose in the first round again. Just no. It's time to get past the first round. Please. Enough of that nonsense. Okay, let's attempt to look at the prospects if humanly possible, as we will quickly move to Iowa, as it just feels like they almost never play. God, it's driving me nuts. Mason Shaw had the hat trick last week. Nick Sweeney's still stuck at 21 points. He has been in a drought for quite a while now. Beckman's now at 19 as he continues to kind of factor in here and there with assists and goals here and there randomly. Kalen Addison's back with Iowa, now 10 points on the season, scored a second goal recently. Marco Rossi added his 10th goal of the season last night in a victory for Iowa. They're playing a little bit better, and the Iowa Heartlanders are playing much better, where there's really no prospects, no significant prospects anymore on the Iowa Heartlanders. Even Bryce Misley has been skating with the Iowa Wild. So Iowa this, Iowa that, basically. Bryce Misley, though, no shots on goal in yesterday's game. What the heck is that all about? No shots on goal for Bryce Misley. I don't know, man. That's kind of a bummer. I don't know. That's weird. Kyle Rao continues to kind of just, be what he is, a nice, solid quad A player. That's pretty much what he is. 25 points in 26 games. Joe Hicketts has been very quiet. He finally had his 13th assist. He'd been on fire, and he's just completely quieted down for quite a while here. Him and Nick Sweeney, who are like the number 2, number 3 scorer all season on the team, they've just silenced. Eric Stahl's no longer with the team, and he will be with Team Canada in the Olympics at age 36. The Thunder Bay, Ontario native. That's the city I was in when I went to Canada way back in the 80s as a young boy. Thunder Bay, Ontario. Cool. Eric Stahl was a baby when I was there. Yep, very much, yeah. But he was alive. He was a baby. Should I say the year? 1986. Creeping through the mix. Yeah, Legend of Zelda. 1986 was when we went to Thunder Bay, Ontario. It's been a little while. Just a little bit. Alexander Hovhanov finally played in another game, and he got an assist. Hey! Hovhanov didn't score yesterday, but he got his 7th game played, and he got an assist. Oh, come on, Hovhanov. Come on, man. Chris Bennett was one of the best players with the Iowa Heartlanders, called up to the Iowa Wild, and has 1 goal in 11 games. Great. That's wonderful. Zane McIntyre has been pretty good filling in Iowa. Hunter Jones has been a bit better. Hunter Jones, it's funny. You put him down in the ECHL, and he just gets lit up. Comes to the AHL, and he's giving up less than 3 goals a game. He's not standing out like a stud or anything, but he's okay. And Zane McIntyre's been solid, but Zane McIntyre is not coming to the NHL. I don't think so. I would be very surprised, actually. 2.72 goals against average, 3-4 record for an Iowa team that's just been kind of 500 for a while after a strong start to the season. But what do you expect when you have studs leading your way early on, and then they get called up, and there's all this uncertainty, taxi this, taxi that, because we got to get these games played. Otherwise, we're going to be playing like triple. We're going to be playing back-to-back-to-backs if we want to end the season, end the regular season in April. We're going to be playing it back-to-back-to-back-to-back-to-back, and you'll have injury after injury, and people like Joe Hicketts will be your top defenseman in the NHL, not the AHL. NHL. Adam Beckman, welcome to the NHL. You're playing the rest of the season. Go out there and go, buddy. Just go. Kalen Addison, you're not only on the Wild, you're the top defenseman. That's about what it would be like. Hicketts and Addison lead the Wild to the Stanley Cup Championship versus, versus I don't even know, another team with prospects. Yeah, I'm just being goofy. But, nope, I mean, Iowa's playing a little better. Both Iowas are playing better, but the Iowa Wild, per se, playing significantly better lately, and I appreciate that very much. Matt Boldy with the Minnesota Wild, 6 points in 7 games, just continuing to look like an NHL player, and it feels damn good at the end of the day. Pardon my babbling and goofiness. Pavel Novak continues to be absolutely great for the Kelowna Rockets. Now 41 points in 31 games. 16 of them are goals. Whew, thought I had to sneeze for a second there. That's weird. You have the sensation and it goes away. Damon Hunt has been picking it up again now at 23 points in 29 games. 11 goals, 12 assists. He actually has been picking it up a bit. He'd been quiet for a while. Now he's back rolling again, which is good. Obviously, it's an up and down. It's an up and down game at times. You get streaky, this and that, and he's only 19 years of age. But he's a captain for his club, and good for him. For the Moose Jaw Warriors, +7 on the season versus the -12 last season. Ryan O'Rourke, just about a point a game type of guy, +4 on the season, 22 assists. Very, very strong performance. So far for him, obviously captain material. Who's Nadinov? Well, 12 points on the season in 32 games. That sounds familiar. Yeah, because it is. I love Nadinov, and he's going to continue to get better, but obviously, he's not a prolific scorer. He's a prolific skater. He's a 200-foot player, this and that, all the cliches you can imagine. But, I don't know. Only one game last week, too. I don't know. It's been kind of unpredictable, the schedules and such. It's been a little frustrating, to be quite fair. I thought I had this moving here. Marco Rossi, we already know. He's a point-a-game player in Iowa. Jasper Wallstedt, a guy who, is a guy who I think will be a goalie tandem with Kaapo Kähkönen. I strongly believe they will be together on the Wild. That we're not going to just deal away Kaapo Kähkönen like a show host of another Wild podcast who I guess has a little more prolific standing than I do. 1.95 goals against average, 11 and 9 on the season is Jasper Wallstedt. They believe that the Wild will trade away Kaapo Kähkönen. Why would you do that? I don't think so. I don't think you trade away Kaapo Kähkönen. I'm thinking opposite on that one. I'm not going to trash in anybody's hockey mind, but I'm just saying I don't agree. It's just that simple. Carson Lambos, 21 points in 20 games. Again, that sounds familiar as well, which is frustrating, but that's how that goes. Left shot stud defenseman Jack Pert, also another left shot defenseman who continues to be stellar at the collegiate level at 18 years of age. Yes, he doesn't even turn 19 until May 15th. Wow, man, I remember 2003, May 2003. I was getting laid off from U.S. Bank around that time. Wonderful memory for me. Yeah, that's when Jack Pert was being born. Future power play quarterback of the Minnesota Wild was getting born. Wow, that's cool. I was getting laid off from U.S. Bank. What a wonderful time that was. Because, the whole damn, it was sucky. All the work was gone. Yeah, that was not fun. 14 points in 15 games, 12 assists, power play quarterback. Can't wait to see what Jack Pert can do at the next level. But, man, he's just getting started at college, man. He's probably going to be a stud next year. Maybe 2 years in college. And then AHL. We'll see. Acadian Bankier with 32 points now for the Kamloops Blazers. The Wild only have one player remaining in Kamloops because the other guy, we'll get to him in a second, Pilar, has moved on. They traded him. That was terrible. 32 points in 37 games, 12 of them are goals. Kyle Masters, another one of those kind of stay-at-home defensemen. Same point total as last year in twice the games. But, however, he was a -5 last year. And this year, him being Kyle Masters is a plus 26 on the season. So that's always good. And he actually scored 2 goals, which he did not last year. All assists. Josh Pillar. Josh Pillar still hasn't played a game for the Saskatoon Blades because Canada's what it is. It's strict about things. And that's why they haven't been playing. And it's, I don't know, just... Judd Zulgad, I wish I saved his line when he said, play the games. Yeah, play the games, please. I'm getting tired of it now. I get it, okay. And how about this? Nate Benoit with his 5th point of the season. 4 assists now, yes. Nate Benoit. See, here in the U.S. Hockey League, we actually play our games. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll stop. 1 goal, 4 assists for Nate Benoit. 5 points now in the season. Benoit, every time he scores a goal, it was like, in the early 90s before he started actually hitting a little bit. Chuck Knobloch hit a home run. Oh my God, Chuck Knobloch hit a home run. That's what it's like. That's what it's like. I'm telling you. Yeah, that's what it's like. But yeah, I mean, they're just, a little stricter up there in Canada when it comes to this whole situation. A little stricter. And not everybody agrees with it. Let's just say Theron Fleury doesn't agree either. Theo Fleury, pardon me. Not Theron, but yeah, okay, it is. But yeah, he's just one. It isn't just one or two cowboys in the United States that disagree with it. Cowboys, right? I'm a Dallas Cowboy. Okay, so with that, I think that is about everybody. Yeah, that is everybody when it comes to the significant prospects, this and that. We talked about Iowa. Oh, college. Marshall Warren, 13 points in 23 games thus far. He's ahead of last year, but the pace is behind, but that's fine. He's still playing very solid, obviously, and showing some of that spark. Nikita Nesterenko, even he's behind last year's pace. What the heck is going on? Is it like everybody? Come on, man. But it's slightly behind. 17 points in 23 games. He had 19 last year in 24. So, I don't know. Come on, man. Sam Henches will be skating for the U.S. Olympic Hockey, and he is now more than a point-a-game player. He has been really good. St. Cloud State has been playing very well. Love what Sam Henches brings. He's bringing that scoring touch and such. Now at 13 in 9 games. Only 9 games. He missed a ton of games at the start of the season, but he will be skating for the U.S. Olympic team. And looking forward to that. From New Bergton? No, it's New Brighton. I don't know why it's Bergton on here, but he's obviously had a strong overall season when healthy. Stay healthy. Stay healthy, Sam, because they need you. Believe me. With that said, now we will take a quick break and return for fan interaction. And we are back here on Brave the Wild. Time for some fan interaction. But right before that, let's get to the Vig It application. Vig It application, I want to encourage you to download this on your Apple or Android devices. VIGIT, 2 separate words, of course. The Vig It application. It's basically fantasy betting. Social media for sports bettors. You can post about your picks, see what others are saying about games. Vig It Betting League is a month-long betting competition to see who the best sports bettor is over the course of a month. Free-to-play sportsbook. Bet free coins, win real prizes. Betting stats. There is great information available on the Vig It like line movement where the public is betting. This is not real money wagering. It is like fantasy betting, but you can also kind of use it as a cheat sheet in that final part where it actually will show the lines and all that stuff. So it's good to have. But of course, again, it's fantasy betting. It's fun to do. It's fun to compete against each other. Kind of like, fantasy football, fantasy this, fantasy that. But that would be like fantasy everything. Baseball, basketball, hockey, even soccer if you like that. If you like it. If. You notice I'm saying that. Also, one other thing, Crypto.com. Encourage you to download that and get into some crypto trading. If you do, click on the link. If you're interested, click on the link in the show description. It'll show why I referred you. It'll help the show. And you get $25 put in your account right away to get started. And believe me, in the crypto world, with some of those crypto coins, $25 means something. Believe me. So jump on board with that. Fan interaction segment, twitter.com, Twitter, @BraveTheWild, @BraveTheWild is the Twitter account. And when you're going to ask questions, comment this and that, put hashtag BTWMN, BTWMN. Derek Felska will open up things. It's a poll he put out there. So this is a good idea, Derek. Good idea. And let's just say me and him have had some conversations off the microphone, and the show's going to keep evolving, this and that. It's not going to be like an overhaul change. It has been evolving over the course of time, like more and more fan interaction and ideas like this, conversating like polls and conversations about should we go this direction, should we go that direction. As last week, it was pretty cool. The Dumba Fiala debate, as there will be more debates coming up. Because obviously, it's going to be an interesting offseason again. Coming forward, every offseason is going to be interesting for this team, especially as we become a cup contender and all that, and guys emerge, and and the salary cap issues are going to be what they are. So let's open things up with Derek Felska at Crease and Assist. He writes. That's his blog that he's been doing for many, many years. I believe it's 17 years. So he's actually got me beat. He's been blogging longer than I've been podcasting. There aren't many people in our territory. Me and Derek are, when it comes to longevity, we're in first ballot Hall of Fame, I think. There's no question about that. Derek says, should the Minnesota Wild re-sign Alex Goligoski if he agrees to play at half his current rate of $5 million per season? Please retweet this and that. So the choices were yes, he's one of us. No, keep spot open for 59. That's Kalen Addison. And not sure, don't care. And several votes now, which is nice. And there's 2 days left on the poll, so you can still vote on that. At Crease and Assist, by the way. He writes about the Minnesota Wild there, as does his wife. His wife usually does the previews, and Derek does the reviews. Very cool. Yes, he's one of us, got 71%. Now, I picked that one not because he's one of us, but because I think he's a valuable player. For me, it would be yes, he's a valuable player. Whether he's from Thunder Bay, or from Calgary, Alberta, or what the heck. And yeah, and I know a lot of people will say he's one of us. I'd like to have him back, sure, but it does depend. And if I do want a spot open for 59, that is a big part of it. I almost clicked on that one, but it's just I do think Goligoski plays a valuable role, and he would be a loss if he's gone. He's not getting any younger, but I'm not sure how much we're going to be able to sign him for. Of course, like you're saying, it would be half, so that'd be like 2.5 per season, maybe a 3-year contract or something. And he is worth a decent amount, obviously. There's talk about maybe just let him go as a free agent, where he might get another $5 million for the Dallas Stars or something. I'm just making a team up, but like Suter went there. But we'll see. But I picked the yes just because I think he's a valuable piece. But believe me, I'm leaning closer and closer to that 59 deal, because 59 is starting to look like an NHL player now, where last year he didn't, and in certain points earlier in the season he didn't, but lately we're starting to see it. So let's get things going. Derek says, despite the cold temperatures, got a Minnesota Wild question burning on your mind? Ask Brave the Wild. Just take your questions and ask as many as you wish. Please retweet. Yep, and got to mention as well, a major thing is, like I'm going to keep trying to do stuff like that, where it's a conversation, like Goligoski versus Dumba, this and that. Obviously, most people would probably pick Dumba, but there's more to just Goligoski, keeping Goligoski versus Dumba. Maybe you keep Goligoski at a discount price, and you can keep Fiala too, where it's a package deal. You keep Goligoski, Fiala, or you say goodbye to both of them to get Kalen Addison up here in order to play with Dumba. That type of thing. So, I mean, there's going to be some decisions made. I don't think Addison's going to be gone at any time soon, but who knows? I doubt it. So Derek opens up the question saying the Minnesota Wild have sent Kalen Addison back to Iowa and seem to be content to soldier on with Jordy Ben. What are your thoughts on this? I mentioned a bit of that earlier, but yeah, I mean, I think Kalen Addison should be up with Minnesota. I don't know how much better he's going to get in Iowa at this point. He's been there over a year now, so I don't know. I don't know how much more time he needs. Unlike Brennan Mennel, who never scored a point in the NHL, despite he had some chances to be here. He had about a 6-7 game span in Minnesota and didn't do anything. Kalen Addison was starting to show something. I have nothing against Jordy Ben, but he's a limited guy. He's a very limited player, and there's always injuries and sickness. Jordy Ben would play anyway. But, yeah, I mean, I lean towards Kalen Addison at the end of the day. Long story longer, or short, whatever it is. Derek says, at times the Minnesota Wild get a bit too pass happy on the power play and often end up just forcing lots of needless turnovers. What annoying stage in a video game would you compare the Minnesota Wild power play to? Maybe freaking Quick Man stage with all the lightning flying at you. It's kind of like that, yeah, because they're flying at you and all that, and then you make the quick passes and you make a mistake. This and that. Probably like, did I call it? Yeah, Quick Man. Yep, the Quick Man stage. It's an annoying stage, all right. My God, you're like running down the corridors and stuff, and lightning's flying at you. You got to get down now, because you get hit once, you're dead. It's one of those type of things. It's a one-hit kill type of deal. So, yep, we're sticking with Mega Man again, believe it or not. Or you could say like one of the level 7s with all the pipe, the bullet bills in Mario 1. Yeah, even Mario 3 also, you got that whole level's pipeline, basically. And that had been a problem forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever with the Wild. Too many passes on the power play. So, yeah, sometimes you got to cut that out and just shoot the damn puck. And if the puck is caught and frozen and all that, and, well, whatever. And you got to do a face-off. So be it, Jedi. You're more likely to score with the puck going towards the goalie than to just, sideways. Sometimes you got to go north-south a little bit, too. Derek Felska says, this next week is the calm before the storm of games starting on Feb 8th. How often do you think the Minnesota Wild will have to start Kaapo in that span? I'm hoping it's a platoon. I am. At least 40% of the time, though. I'm really hoping so. I mean, that is a big deal. Another one of those topics I got into earlier. That's a big deal. Kaapo needs to at least be in 40% of the games. The whole 60-40 deal. Freaking 45-55. It's going to have to be often. I'm tired of seeing veteran goalies break down with Minnesota just in time for the playoffs because we overuse them. Enough of this nonsense. And the more Kaapo plays, the better he is. If people haven't noticed that. When he just rots on the bench and you just throw him in there eventually, it's not going to turn out so great. Pardon me, my throat's kind of drying up on me. Okay, so another one says, this might be an unpopular take, but the Minnesota Wild disrespect the Montreal Canadiens with some of their showboating. Did the Minnesota Wild disrespect the Canadiens with some of the showboating throughout the game? I realize it's their job to stop us, but it's better to be classy and use your third and fourth lines instead of clowning them. Yeah, I think so. I don't like any type of showboating. Like, there's a reason why I don't like the Kansas City Chiefs. Especially a certain receiver that likes to throw out the peace sign every time he catches the ball. And oftentimes he turns and faces the player he caught the ball on and does it. That is Bush League. That's a huge reason I don't like the Kansas City Chiefs. I do not like Tyreek Hill at all. Any type of showboating does bother me. I even think Justin Jefferson does it a little too much sometimes on the Vikings. If your take is that it's not cool, yeah, I agree with you, Derek. So, it was a little too much, yes. Yes, I'm old school. I'm not a suspend everybody and curse them out after the game because of it, but I'm not that hard on it. Like, so some of the youngsters out there might think I'm this crusty old whatever. Not really, but at the same time, let's settle down a little bit. And so, yep, I would agree with Derek there. KFAN Girl says, you can't argue with what the current D-men have done. They have all been solid. My guess is it is most important for Addison to play top 4 D minutes in what will hopefully be his role here soon. As a fan, I can't believe I finally have legit prospects to be excited about. See, I mean, that's a good take. That's a good take, and that's where Kalen Addison being in Iowa makes sense. Yes, I do get that. Because up in Minnesota, he's stuck in the bottom 2, you know what I mean? Yeah, the bottom 2, and he'd be his 5th or 6th defenseman. So, I can feel that argument in a heartbeat there. I got to think this is probably the last season he'll be stuck in a 5th or 6th role in Minnesota or in Iowa in order to be in the top 4. I got to think something's got to give in the offseason. Maybe Goligoski just goes through via free agency. And welcome to the National Hockey League. For not handed the job, but it'll be there for him to earn. And I do believe he will earn it when the opportunity is given. This and that. So, yeah, good one, KFAN Girl. Steve Snyder says, trade targets. I know this has been discussed, but who do the Wild target? What are we willing to give up? Should a trade even be made? Do we need another true NHL level goalie? Talbot seems to be breaking down a bit. Do we have the talent to make a run at the Cup this year? Yeah, a bit to unpack there. So, who have we targeted? I mean, there's been talk about Claude Giroux. He might be a bit expensive, but who knows? It's what do they call him? $1 Chuck, Mike Yeo, all those guys. It's like the whole group is reassembled and they're sucking. Chuck might be saying a word that starts with a F that rhymes with Chuck at the end of the season if things keep going the way they're going. He might end up not being the GM long because it's Philadelphia. It's Philadelphia. They should have kept the former goalie as the GM. They should have kept Ron Hextall. That's what you get for being impatient, Philly. Now you bleeped up. Chuck Fletcher isn't a terrible GM, but it certainly isn't working out in Philly, is it? Lots of things have gone wrong. I don't know what good he's really done since he's gotten there. Where Hextall had a pretty decent base to work with, and that's why they had that. That's why they jumped up right after Hextall left. So I don't know. Claude Giroux, though, yep, he's a possibility. Tomas Hertl. It's going to take, from what I've heard, a prospect and a first-round pick possibly to get one of these guys, and maybe even a significant, maybe one of the defensemen like a Dumba, or it's not going to be Spurgeon, it's not going to be Brodin. Those two guys are untouchable in my opinion. Goligoski, I don't think we're going to trade him, but who knows? I don't think we need to do that. That'd be kind of weird. But it's probably going to be a prospect because, like they were saying on. I believe it was Russo. Yes, not the worst seats in the house. And like I've been talking about as well, like where are these guys all going to play? Like the Jack Perch, Carson Lambos. There's so many. Ryan O'Rourke, so many defenseman prospects. Where are they going to play? Obviously Kalen Addison. Where are they all going to play? So eventually, you might have to use one or two of those chips to make a deal to get a Tomas Hertl from the San Jose Sharks. That's the name that keeps getting brought up. They're kind of a fringe playoff team, but I don't think they're ready to make any kind of run. And now you have a serious muscle injury, forearm muscle tear, I believe it was, for Erik Karlsson. For Karlsson, it's unbelievable. So that's a big loss right there. It's not like he's had a great season, but still, he's been better. And that's a big injury. He's going to be re-evaluated in mid-March. Re-evaluated. So that doesn't help the Sharks' cause. So maybe you can make a deal there. Maybe they wouldn't mind a young defenseman. And then you have to make a decision who you want to keep and who you're willing to give up in that situation. Do we need another true NHL level goalie? Right now, I don't think so. I mean, maybe. But obviously, that's the thing. That's where it's like you wouldn't be trading Kaapo Kähkönen away, would you? Why would you trade Kähkönen away? And obviously, yes, you'd have somebody replaced. It would be for another goalie. But I think Kähkönen's good enough to be an NHL goalie. I think right now they stand pat at the goalie position, at least until the summer where more decisions will be made. And yes, Talbot does seem to be breaking down a bit. Yes, I agree. Do we have the talent to make a run at the Cup this year? We have the depth, and I think we do have the talent to make a run. Obviously, you play against a Colorado team, and you're like, oh my God, how the hell could we keep up with these guys? These guys are going to skate all over us. It's going to be 12-1. No, it's not going to be that bad, but we're going to be out in 5 or 6 games. Not necessarily. Look how the Wild kept up with them. It was pretty damn impressive. And the Wild have beaten Colorado on the road before in the postseason, so it's going to be super interesting. Here's a big one here. Should the Wild re-sign defenseman Alex Goligoski to it's related to the other poll. Alex Goligoski to a contract extension, since it's widely believed he'd accept a lower price. What would the longest contract you'd accept, or not at all? Does it block spots for young players? It does if you keep Dumba. And obviously, because you don't want to lose both. That's another place where the decisions have to be made between Goligoski and Dumba. I'm guessing the franchise is more likely to part ways with Goligoski than Dumba. That's my guess. Because of the alternate captain role, and he's very popular, and he is a good player. But I think in a lot of ways he's more popular than he's good, Matt Dumba. I think he's more popular than he's good. I'm just being honest with you, being blunt with everybody listening. And that's Minnesota sports for you. I think Kevin Fiala is a rarer commodity than Matt Dumba. And I think Kevin Fiala also has leadership skills, if you can believe it. That might sound foreign to some of you, like leadership skills. Fiala, it's starting to show. Not that long ago, Matt Dumba would have been like alternate captain. What are you talking about? And I think it's going to be the same for Fiala. I think he could be alternate captain material in the not-too-distant future, should you part ways with Dumba. But, I mean, obviously that decision needs to be made. We're very rich at defenseman prospects, and there's no guarantee any of them is going to be an NHL player. But there's no guarantee, but obviously some of them should be. And if they're not, then what the hell happened? God help me. If you do resign Alex Goligoski, I'm hoping it's like, obviously less than $3 million a year for 1 or 2 years, short term, that type of thing. And I even went with 3 at one point. I mean, heck, if you're willing to sign Merrill for that long, but maybe not. Maybe not with Goligoski, because Merrill's a little younger, obviously. So, and he's not as expensive, not at all. What was he, like 1.3? So it's one of those deals. Bryan Herrera says Kaapo, that'd be Kaapo Kakinen, of course. Greenway and Fiala are all on expiring restricted free agent contracts. Goosey, that's Goligoski, Rax, Bierstadt, Sturm, Ben are on expiring unrestricted free agents. Who do you see the Wild keeping, trading, letting walk with the cap hell? With the cap hell we will be in next year. Oh boy, I think Greenway's probably gone. Because I don't think he's lived up to anything. The only reason, there is one reason you keep Greenway is that grease line is unbelievable. So maybe I should shut my big fat mouth on that one. Rask is for sure gone. Bukestad is probably gone. I don't think Bukestad comes back. Sturm, that's a tough one. Ben, probably gone. Goosey is Goose, that's Goligoski. 1 to 2 years maybe, but I think it's 50-50 Goligoski returns because of all the reasons that we've been talking about. Rask is for sure gone, though. No chance he comes back. I think Bukestad's for sure gone. It's no offense, but again, the Connor DeWeer type players need to be able to play. Adam Beckman, this and that. Beckman can play on the third line, even though he's a scorer. He can play on the third line, I think. I believe he can. Obviously, he's better fit in the top 6, but I can see Beckman kind of adjusting his game and emerging later on, kind of like Ryan Hartman did. I can kind of see that. Sturm, I like him a lot. He's inexpensive, at least I think he is. I can't imagine him demanding, a huge, like a big amount. I think they're more likely to keep Sturm than Ben, Bukestad, Rask, and even Goose, actually. Fiala, I want him back, but it's like 50-50 with him. Kaapo Kakinen stays. Kaapo Kakinen is the most likely to stay out of that group. You have to keep Kaapo Kakinen, in my opinion. At bare minimum, he's a bridge goaltender to Jesper Wallstedt, in my humble opinion. Greenway, it's the chemistry with that grease line that could keep him here. Otherwise, has he been producing up to par with what we thought he was going to be and what we believe he could be? No. Fiala obviously is a rare commodity, a guy who could be a 40-goal scorer in this league. I believe that. I stand on that word. 30 goals, absolutely. 40, I think he can do it. I think he can. People might be laughing at me right now. He's got 11 goals, and it's almost Valentine's Day. Yeah, well, I think it's still there. I think it's still with him. With the right pieces around him, I think he's going to be good. And I think the right pieces are there now. It was a weird start to the season. Yeah, I mean, Fiala's not a third-line player, but luckily he's matured a bit more and more during the course of the season. I want him here, personally. But hopefully that made enough sense. Brian. I didn't babble my head off about nothing there. Bryan Herrera says, who would win in a fight, Mega Man or Marcus Super Goose Foligno? Well, Mega Man would have to not have his Mega Buster. That's the one thing. But if Super Moose, let's just say if Super Moose is a Mega Man character, he's Guts Man for sure. I mean, he is Guts Man with a bullet. Let's say, yeah, so it's Guts Man versus Mega Man. Mega Man wins, but it wouldn't be easy. It would be very tough. Guts Man's a pain in the ass to deal with, and Mega Man won. But Super Moose, Guts Man, Mega Man would beat him, unfortunately. But just because he's Mega Man, I guess. Jay Bushy wraps up the segment. Thank you always for your loyalty, Jay. Really appreciate this. He says, Kaapo, that's filled in nicely for Talbot, but with him re-injuring his lower body injury, that being Talbot. Is there any concern now with goaltending going forward, especially with all the games the Wild play coming up? A little bit. There is a little bit, but it sounds like he's fine, Cam Talbot. It sounds like he's okay. He just kind of tweaked it, and that it was more of a precautionary thing. Like, yeah, that's probably why they took him out, because of the schedule. They're like, we're not going to mess with this. Just let him rest a couple days, especially with the break, this and that coming up, and Talbot will be okay for now. Luckily, the trade deadline hasn't happened yet, and the Wild do not have anybody in the current system they could call up, I think, to be in between the pipes if that were to happen. Who knows, though? Maybe Kaapo Kähkönen is the Conn Smythe winner. he just might be. Maybe he is the Madison Bumgarner for the Wild at some point going forward. He just might end up being that guy. Madison Bumgarner, who the San Francisco Giants absolutely rode in the 2014 postseason to the World Series championship. Maybe that's Kaapo Kähkönen. If Talbot's kind of injury prone a little bit, but he's still okay to be a good backup, which he was with Henrik Lundqvist for many years. And that's coming up. Henrik Lundqvist, the retirement ceremony, and Talbot gets to be there, and Zuccarello, which is really, really cool. I almost didn't mention that on the show, and I apologize, but so many other things to get to. We heard Cam Talbot talk about that on the most recent, what the heck is it called? Straight from the Source from Michael Russo. So, really cool there. That wraps up the fan interaction segment. Now I'll give a couple of shout-outs here. Minnesota Wild Global, thank you very much. Always Scott Cavendish, Chance Kostick, David Kostick, Kathy Main, Chad Walski, David Abraham, Michael Fick. Love you guys very much. Great page. Great Minnesota Wild page. Of course, Pavel Bennett's an admin there, and he is the main dude for MNW Prospects, which is also called Young Guns, with a nice new beautiful logo. And Pavel Bennett made that logo, and he made the new logo for Brave the Wild. And I can't thank you enough, Pavel Bennett, out of Czechia as it's called now. Thank you so much, Pavel Bennett. Love your brother. I'm a part of the page, though I haven't been writing this year because the two leagues that I would cover for that page, the Q, as they call it, and the British Columbia Hockey League do not have Minnesota Wild prospects in them right now. But in the future, hopefully, I'm hoping they will soon. Come on now, start drafting some Q guys now, Chuck. I know you'll learn. I just called him Chuck. I am so sorry. GM Billy Guerin. Draft a Q guy or two in British Columbia Hockey League again. That'd be great. That was Paul Fenton who drafted those guys. Not so much Chuck, but I suppose a little bit. And Boston College players. Yeah, just a couple. But no, thank you so much. MNW Prospects, obviously, Justin Bakke, awesome guy. Brandon Quast, really proud to be a part of that page. Really cool. Thank you guys so much for having me be a part of that one. Other one is Minnesota Wild Nation, Patrick Turner. He does a really nice Minnesota Wild page as well on Facebook. Really thank all of you for just love this hockey community, and I'll be sure more and more to tag you guys in the tweet as I release the show, as you guys deserve recognition. Just thank you guys so much for your inclusion with this show, for listening, retweeting. Those of you that do that, just thank you, and God bless you very much. Of course, Derek Felska, he's been an absolute blessing to Brave the Wild for the past year and a half now. Just thank you so much. One other thing, gosh, it's been about 2 years now, hasn't it been, Derek? Wow, it's been a while. He lives in western Wisconsin. He's a teacher there, of course, from Minnesota, and is a Minnesota Gophers and Vikings fan, so don't worry, Minnesota fans out there. With that said, again, final thing, please write a positive rating for Brave the Wild on Apple Podcasts, Audible or Stitcher. Those are the 3 applications that allow you to do that. If you could, I'd really appreciate it. And thank you so much in advance if you are able to. With that said, have a great week. Go wild, and we'll talk to you next time.